Hey, welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff. You are here to listen and get some excitement about, you know what? The bear market. It is getting more and more bearish, not a laughing matter, but as we see the bear market kick into full gear across the crypto space, are the red candles huge discounts. Now, with all these red candles, how low can it really go? I know that's on everybody's mind. Everybody's wondering. And there's so many out there that are looking at these as huge discount buying opportunities. Now, if you're one of those, give a shout out as you come in here. Shout out, let us know where you're from. Let us know if this is the bottom, the beginning of the bottom, nowhere near the bottom. How low can XRP go? That's the big question of tonight. Throw it out there. And we're also going to go through Deaton's call to action because there was a massive call to action by John Deaton. And there was also a bipartisan letter that went out to, you know who? Daddy G, Gary Gensler, and a response. So we're going to get into that a little bit. And there's actually some new case study out there coming from the Ripple desk, actually some new partnerships that we got to get into because you know what? Even when the market goes red, there's still amazing things happening across the crypto space. So if you guys are ready to kick this thing off, I'm ready. So let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Welcome to On the Chain. So, where are we going to start out here? Lots of great places to start off. Now, we can start off and say, hey, you know what? I think we should look at the crypto price points. Maybe we should pull up the coin gecko and see how red everything is because you know what? USDC isn't really red. USDC, the stable coin market, seems to be quite stable. So why don't we use this as our test bed? This is how we're going to start sharing our screen. So we want to go there just to make sure that the share screen works. And apparently the share screen does work because there's Bitcoin in red. Last 7 days, nothing but a huge, massive drop. Right now, the market cap once at 2 trillion, now at 1.3 trillion dollars, down 10% in the last 24 hours. So the question is, how low can it go? And at what point do you get in? Or are you dollar cost averaging all the way down and all the way up across the board? Because no one can really predict exactly where the bottom is. But look at this, Ethereum at $2,000, Bitcoin sub 30,000. It's now at 28,870. How crazy is that, right? When we're looking at this market cap, look at that. Crazy market cap at 549 billion. Now, we go down the list here. We've got USDC staying somewhat in the green, Binance USD in the green. I guess those they're pretty stable. BNB, down also. We got XRP. Look at that, 41 cents. I don't know if that dropped under 41 cents recently, but I think it might have because in the last hour, maybe it's up 0.9%. I saw it around 40 cents, 41 cents. It's down drastic at 31% over the last 7 days. This is just, it's always crazy to look at this when you start drilling down. You say, wow, look at that. I mean, it's just similar trend all the way down the list until you get to the stable coins. Everything. There's nothing that I can see that seems to be moving in an upward trajectory. Just a lot of red. And yet everyone still comes back day in and day out, even when it's red. Everyone's in this very positive moment. Now, Digital Grove is saying that it was at 37 cents. So we missed that. Now, question is the whole market, everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, there's red candle. XRP eating the red candles, but we got red across the board, right? We got the stock, I would say legacy stocks are also dipping very deep into the red. And Crypto G says thinks we can go even lower. And I'm kind of tending on that side as well. We'll see where it's going. Look at all these I was going to say buy signals, but these aren't buy signals, these are buy buttons. So anyhow, let's move on from this. That was exciting to look at for a second. But I do want to get into and jump right into Deaton. Now, John Deaton, and then we're going to get into Tom Emmer a little bit, because I think these are some, really critical moments to look at. Now we got Darcy says, hey, we're nowhere near finished yet. So, it could be some interesting, buy points as we keep going down. So, all right, let's look at this is like, the critical information at this point. So let us get over here and let's see what we got. Okay, so John Deaton, call to action. Now, what is this call to action? I think this is a real critical call to action because obviously we know there's some things going on within the crypto space. We know that the SEC is getting a little bit crazy, as they have been for a period of time now. This is all if you go over to Crypto Law US. Now, here's an independent government watchdog, which is Empower, right? They have evidence of a potentially serious breakdown in ethics control at the SEC. Now, I realize I'm going through this, I'm reading and not sharing it, so that's not good. So let me go back over here. Let me go and actually share what we're talking about. So here we have the call to action. Now, here's the independent government watchdog. So what is going on here? Now, before we get into the tweets, it's important to note that over here, if you go to this crypto-law.us, you can actually send an email, send an email to your congressional representative. Now, how important is that? So right here, Congress writes the laws that regulators like, guess what? Daddy G over at the SEC have to follow, right? They don't, Daddy G doesn't get to write the laws. The SEC doesn't write the laws. The CFTC doesn't write the laws. But you know who does? Congress does. So this is more important now than probably ever before. But here you have um, anybody holding digital assets in the US, you have to make yourself heard, right? So if you are a digital asset holder in the US right now, you've got to let your representatives hear you passionately. Now, this is going to go out to US senators. Some of these US senators are stepping down, some of the US representatives are stepping down. They're not running for re-election, maybe because they see what's coming. They see all the shenanigans. But check this out. First and foremost, you can identify who your representative is, and then you get to just so you can figure out who is compose your message. There's a nice subject here. Look at that. Evidence sent to the SEC. OIG must be investigated. Now, here's an independent government watchdog. Empower Oversight has obtained evidence of a potentially serious breakdown in ethics controls at the SEC in regards to regulation of cryptocurrencies and possible financial conflicts of interest involving who? But that's right, Director of Corporation Finance, Bill Hinman. So here we have, let's see if we can open this up a little bit. There we go. So here we are on May 9th, 2022. That was just a couple days ago. Empower Oversight sent a referral of this evidence to the Office of the Inspector General, the OIG, at the SEC. In it, they requested a comprehensive review of Mr. Hinman's failures to disclose his Now, if you have conflicts of interest, you probably want to make sure that you're not giving these massive speeches. But apparently, look at this. So we have a conflict of interest to his market moving 2018 speech on crypto regulation. Now, if you have that conflict of interest, you get out and speak. Now you can speak, but imagine you're speaking on behalf of a government agency, the very government agency that then goes and files suit against one of the crypto companies. So here we have repeatedly ignoring clear directives to not meet with certain entities with which he had a direct financial interest. So these are definitely some issues. they're saying you got to investigate, got to find out what's going on over here. You can't just pretend to look into it. You really, really need to look into every aspect of what's going on. So you can go ahead, you fill out all your contact info, street, all this stuff. Then you get to send a message and you'll be able to get it to your US senators, your US representative. This is an amazing tool because why? Look at this. You can just type in your address. It automatically matches you with your members of Congress. Now, typically you have to go on, you got to search them out, you got to figure out who they are. This is really an amazing way to get your voice heard. It's over there on crypto-law.us/connect dash to Congress. Got some dashes in there, but connect to Congress right there. I'll grab this. I'm going to put this just in case you're not over there on Twitter. I'm going to put this into the comment area, and then you guys can grab that and you can figure out, hey, you know what? I'm going to check that out. Want to write a letter to Congress. I think that could be really, really key, especially at this moment in time. So now, why is all of this so critical? All right, so let's get over to it. Let's look. Now, John Deaton says the violations are in regards to the regulation of cryptocurrencies and possible financial conflicts of interest, which, we've talked about this before. Now, if there is indeed a conflict of interest, this is really a big deal. And if they don't investigate, they're doing everybody an extreme disservice. So we definitely want to make sure that they're letting everybody know that we have some potential issue and we're not going to let it stand. So here we have John Dean. It requested a comprehensive review of Hinman's failures to disclose his conflict of interest related to his market moving. Now, we read all that. That was all in the letter. I'm asking that you please write and ask the banking committee to demand that the SEC office of the office of the Inspector General again proceed immediately with a comprehensive investigation as requested by Empower Oversight. Now, the IG is to provide a report to Congress on its findings for further actions and promptly refer any evidence of criminal violation to the U.S. Department of Justice. So, man, John Deaton is on it. John Deaton is on the front lines here, obviously leading the suit against the SEC as well on behalf of Ripple holders everywhere. So I think there's like 66,000 plus XRP holders, and this is really, really key, right? So what do we got? What kind of replies do we have back to John Dean? So it says here that Dr. Gill was asked, can non-USA use this link as well? And then if you go to this petition over here, so let's see, where did I believe Deaton had responded to that somewhere. And yeah, there's amazing comments, just amazing feedback overall. I think it's just been outstanding to see exactly what Deaton has been able to do overall for this space. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable really to continuously see exactly what Gary Gensler continues to do and get away with, and just across the board at what's been happening over at the SEC. Now, this is also going to be really, really key because at first, this goes back to, let me see, let me make sure we have prudent dates here. So this is, okay, so this was March 16th. And now I know we have a reply over here. Where is the response? Hang on a second. I know I posted the response here. And the response is not open. Wait a minute. Oh no, here it is. What am I? Okay, here's the response. So now let me pull up this response. Now, so here this is the crazy part. So we've got an email, a letter that went out, and this was a bipartisan letter. Now, where did it go? Okay, what just happened? There it is. Okay, here we go. Getting crazy over here. Getting crazy. Okay. Now we can share. Now we can pull this up. Now we can share the screen and see exactly what we've got going on. So here we go. Alchemist with everything going crazy, the Blue Crew jumps off buildings in Ledger City. It's insane what's going on. Insane. Okay, so here we go. So this goes back to March 16th. Now let's look at how long it took for Gary Gensler, the SEC, to issue a response to this letter that went out. Now this was March 16th. Congressman Tom Emmer says, and actually, if you go back, if you go to onthechain.io and you search up Tom Emmer or Warren Davidson, you can see a pretty amazing interview with each of them right here on the chain. So go to onthechain.io, go check that out. I think you'll appreciate it if you haven't seen it before. So March 16th, Tom Emmer says, my office has received numerous tips from crypto and blockchain firms that SEC Chair Gary Gensler's information reporting requests to the crypto communities are overburdensome, and don't feel particularly voluntary and are stifling innovation. Now, this is a direct lash out at who? Gary Gensler for stifling innovation in the U.S. and not being and it's not being very voluntary to have these crypto companies right coming in, because what do they say? Well, come on in, come in, and then we'll see, how we treat you when you come in. We'll see if we're going to be very open and friendly and all that good stuff. So here's what's important. This was not just any letter. It wasn't a partisan letter that went out to Daddy G. This was a bipartisan letter that went out to Daddy G. And so when we look at this, who's on this list, right? So we have Congressman Darren Soto from Orlando, Warren Davidson, he's up in the Ohio area. We've got Rep, what's that, Auchincloss, over in where's that, Massachusetts. We've got Rep Byron Donalds in Florida. We've got Rep Josh Gottheimer in New Jersey, and we've got Rep Ted Budd in North Carolina, right? Oh, and we can't forget about Representative Richie Torres in New York, serving the South Bronx. So here we have a letter that goes out March 16th to Daddy G, and this has to do with crypto information seeking process. So let's see if we can open up this nice letter. It was very pleasantly crafted. Starts out, the Honorable Gary Gensler, chair of the SEC, nicely dated or addressed to him. Dear Chair Gensler. Now, could have said Dear Daddy G, would have been as nice, but okay, Dear Chair Gensler, we have questions regarding the SEC's or the commission utilization of Division of Enforcement and Division of Examination authorities to obtain information related to cryptocurrency and blockchain firms. Now, we know that this is an overreaching, overzealous approach by Daddy G, because there was definitely a change in tactic. Once Jay Clayton left in his departure, when he filed suit SEC v. Ripple, all of a sudden we saw the SEC take an entirely different approach to the crypto market, right? So, and under the authoritarian regime of Daddy G, we're seeing a completely different approach now, where they're getting very authoritarian to the crypto space. And so here we have those authorities are better suited to the SEC's division charged with seeking public commentary as part of the rule. Okay. The SEC's regulatory functions, while broad, are limited to the extent of its statutorily mandated jurisdiction. Now, are they operating outside of their jurisdiction or within their jurisdiction? So that's the big question, right? So here, enforcement powers, while conceptually broader with respect to non-SEC regulated entities, are still circumscribed by statute, federal judicial review, congressional oversight, and the commission's own policies and procedures for initiating and conducting inquiries and investigations. Okay, so it appears there's been a recent trend towards employing the enforcement division's investigative functions to gather information from unregulated cryptocurrency and blockchain industry participants in a manner inconsistent with the commission standards for initiating So now we're seeing the overreach, the overzealousness, and it's amazing because this is coming right out of Congress, basically saying, "Look, we have the authority to write the laws. You have the authority to through regulation. But when you overstep your authority, when you step outside of your jurisdiction, then we start having an issue." And so right now, Gary Daddy G is definitely stepping well outside of his jurisdiction. Now, here's a guy that has come out and focused everything on the pillars of enforcement. At the same token, trying to utilize the Howey test and only using one part of the Howey test to then apply that to a crypto. And as he probably applies it to the market at large, to then make a determination as to what would then be deemed a security or an unregistered security. Now, you can't take only one component of the Howey test and make it applicable. It has to be all parts of the Howey test. Hence, it is the Howey test. Otherwise, it'd be the one Howey measure. You wouldn't have an entire test. It'd be, does it meet this one principle? If it does, then it's a security. But no, there's four key elements of the Howey test, not just one. Now, Daddy G only focuses on the one, which is incorrect and inconsistent. But at the same point, and the congressman succinctly point this out, that they are gathering information that is inconsistent with their typical norms for initiating investigation. They've gone above and beyond the normal course of duty. So there's obviously a major issue. Now, this goes back to how we started dealing with John Deaton's tweet when he's saying you've got to reach out, because not only is there an overreach of their authority, but we're also seeing some major issue with conflict of interest. This goes before Daddy G. So we go from conflict of interest to authoritarian approach and overstep with an overzealous chair of the SEC. So this is where things are getting wacky. So here we have reason to believe these requests might be at odds. Now, this is even crazier. Might be at odds with the Paperwork Reduction Act, PRA, the Securities and Exchange Commission Division of Enforcement Manual from 2017, so from 5 years ago, states that during an inquiry or investigation, SEC staff may utilize form blah, blah, blah to request voluntary production of documents. The voluntary creation of documents, it kind of goes into this whole statute of documents and forms that they have to fill out. We understand that the fruits of these requests will help the staff assess the merits of an investigation. However, pursuant to the PR paperwork, a little boring and monotonous and everything else in there, but pursuant to the PRA and seeking information from the American public, federal agencies must be good stewards of the public's time. Don't overwhelm them with unnecessary or duplicative requests for information. Now, what has the SEC done is exactly that. Their objective is to overwhelm the public, to overwhelm companies within the crypto space, not just with the burden of producing information over and over and over again, but monetarily overwhelm them. So if we're seeing like this suit, SEC v. Library, they dragged it out now for what, 4 years? So if that is not necessary, an overwhelming or an over, what would you say, an over, just an overwhelming approach to how the SEC would then deal with a public entity, or now they're trying to say, okay, we want to get information out of you. And we're starting to see the exact same tactic with the SEC v. Ripple, where they're the ones who brought the suit, and they're the ones that keep asking for delay over delay over delay over delay, which finally looks like we obviously have some movement coming up for November. But here is the, typical now approach which is contrary to how the SEC has responded or acted previously, and complete contrary to the PRA, the Paperwork Reduction Act, to now seeing that the SEC is attempting to purposefully overwhelm these companies and individuals with information that is overburdensome. So here it says, to help us understand how and why the SEC is soliciting information from private firms related to crypto and blockchain, we ask you respond to the following questions. But look at this. No later, get this, no later than April 29th, 2022. Now, they responded. They didn't respond on that date. They did respond late, which is what we'd probably expect, but they did respond. Now, it didn't, you would expect maybe they responded on the 28th, maybe the 30th, not the 28th, but maybe they responded on the 30th, maybe, in the beginning of May. So we're a little bit into May here. So we're going to see. Now here, over the past 5 years, how many voluntary document requests has the SEC sent to individuals, projects, teams, entities, or the like regarding activities related to crypto, digital asset, the use of blockchain, or other relevant entities? Now, how many? Let's see. All right, let's see if we can go to the next page. So here we go. Please provide, number one, please provide a year-by-year breakdown of these requests or an approximation of such a breakdown. On average, year by year for the past 5 years, how many requests has the SEC had, each voluntary document request year by year? So they're going through question over question. Look, has the SEC conducted a cost-benefit analysis to determine the fairness and efficacy of its requests? Of course they haven't. Hence the SEC v. Ripple case, hence the SEC v. Live. We see how it unfolds where the SEC is extremely incongruent. So now we keep going through this. These questions are great. When deciding to open a matter under inquiry, the SEC lists basic consideration, affords SEC staff initiating a matter under inquiry significant discretion. But it goes on to this whole thing. What level of SEC staff compose the document? Who at the SEC approves the request? Who does the SEC receive final approval from at the office? It's crazy, right? Now, during your tenure, has the SEC tested the collection method of information specifically on the crypto and blockchain industry through a pilot program? What have these tests illuminated? Now, this is crazy because their objective here is to really highlight and underscore that there is a complete overreach and overzealousness by the SEC at the now current hands of Gary Gensler, right? So here you have March 16th. While the SEC has authority to obtain info, okay, I think you might have been breaking it down, but here, crypto startups must not be weighed down by extra jurisdictional and burdensome reporting requirements. We will ensure our regulators do not kill American innovation and opportunities. Now, how key is that, right? So here you have Tom Emmer coming out. This is back in March. So now let's fast forward to May 11th. Okay, let's fast forward to today. So March 16th, and we're going to fast forward to May 11th. Gary Gensler, by the way, Tom Emmer says, Gary Gensler responded to our bipartisan oversight letter on the SEC's crypto info collection process. Gensler's response doesn't, let's underscore that, doesn't provide Congress with the specific data and insights we requested. So March 16th to May 11th, and they did not respond with the information that was requested. So that's what we've got here. May 11th, to the Honorable Tom Emmer, Honorable Byron Donald, Darren Soto, Josh Gottheimer, Warren Davidson, Ted Budd, Jake Auchincloss, and Richie Torres. Let's see how they respond to this. Let's see if they're going to answer. He said they didn't, but let's see what kind of response they get. Thank you very much. Thank you for your March 16th, 2022 letter concerning the Division of Enforcement. You already know that they said their objective here is to say, uh, thank you, but no thank you. We don't really think that we have any consideration at this point for any information that you are going to request, and we're going to ignore you. Please find herein an overview of these divisions' authorities and processes for obtaining information, including by voluntary request. So the letter from the congressman specifically laid out the authority of the agency. Now, the agency, under the direct of Gary Gensler, is now going to respond with an overview of the authorities of the agency. So we have those that write the laws have reached out to those who are supposed to enforce the laws that they wrote, and the agency is now restating the laws back to those that write the laws. I mean, it's really amazing. So the SEC gets their authority based on law written by, guess who? Oh, yeah, Congress. Okay, so the Division of Enforcement protects investors. Number one, right? This is it again, the protection of investors. The Division of Enforcement seeks to protect investors and markets. Let's not forget the markets, by investigating potential violations of the federal security law and litigating the SEC's enforcement actions. So, okay, so now they're going to come back and they're going to specifically state the authority that was granted to them by Congress. So here we have Congress granted the commission broad authority to investigate actual potential violations of the federal security law. Now, they don't know, although Gary Gensler has been very, very specific to his opinion that the majority of the crypto are unregistered securities, per his own opinion, maybe contrary to other opinions that are out there, as well as opinions that have been well stated around the world. So here we go. Okay, so they give them broad authority. In addition to compulsory process, the commission also can obtain information through voluntary cooperation of witnesses. Now, how voluntary is it when they say, we want you to come in? Now, when the SEC comes to you and says, we really want you to come in, we think you should come in. If you don't come in, we're going to file a lawsuit against you. If you do come in, we're probably going to file a lawsuit against you, but maybe you're better off coming in because we're going to file a lawsuit against you if you don't come in, and maybe we'll be kinder if you come in. Who knows what they're doing? All investigations are conducted privately, and any information or documents obtained are deemed non-public. Okay, great. Voluntary requests are an important way the staff gathers documents, data, and other information needed at the start of an investigation. Now, you can go to many authoritarian regimes and they will reach out to you and tell you that it's voluntary for you to come in. You can volunteer the information. You can voluntarily come in with your information. You can voluntarily reach out to the SEC to share the information. But how truly voluntary is it when they are overreaching their authority as per these 8 congressional representatives? So 8 congressional representatives are saying to the SEC that you have overstepped your authority. The SEC responds and says, no, we haven't. All right. I mean, it's unreal. Now, Gary Gensler, for the record, is not an attorney. I believe, and I could be mistaken, that each one of those 8 representatives, it's a high probability that each one of those 8 are attorneys. Just saying. So, and they're serving in Congress, the very entity that writes the rules that the SEC has to abide by. So anyhow, so So here we go. Investigate at an early stage and to determine whether to close an investigation or proceed with a formal order. When undertaking such request, the staff provides respondents with a copy, and it goes on. Okay, gets redundant. Well, it's not exciting here, but the SEC does not penalize non-regulated entities or witnesses for declining to voluntarily provide requested information. Really? However, they could threaten a lawsuit. Why? Because they're lawsuit happy. What is the one thing that Gary Gensler said? He said the pillars of enforcement. The compulsory process, such as subpoenas typically contain deadlines, etc. Now, it's interesting, deadlines for compliance and warrant recipients that the commission may choose to seek a court order to enforce the subpoena. Now, remember, Congress asked that they respond by April 29th. The SEC responded late. The SEC responded May 11th. Typical. And it goes on and it goes on. So, similarly to enforcement, Division of Exam staff may contact an unregistered entity or person in connection. So they're explaining they can reach out, they have the authority, they can do all this stuff. In limited circumstance, Division of Exam staff may conduct a voluntary inquiry. So then now they can all ask for voluntary inquiries. They can do all these different things. The Division of Examination pursuant to statutory authority examines regulated entities such as investment advisors and broker dealers. So now neither one of them, if they're going to examine regulated entities like those, then we can skip those. Congress gave the commission broad discretion to decide whether to use voluntary requests or a compulsory process. So how nice are they? So it's amazing to me that they chose not to respond to any of the information. They chose not to respond at all. It's crazy. So Tom Emmer is saying that, we're going to get the information. We want the information. We've requested the information. We're going to get the information. Now, it's crazy here because what is this? So I like some of the response here. You legislate the rules. How can Ukraine get a bill signed every other afternoon, but America can't get a digital asset framework in place? If you, Congress, can't rein agencies in, who can? For a powerless citizen like myself, who's been trained to believe you, inform your representative, only to find out agencies were set up to be beyond Congress. What am I to do? I've sent multiple letters to my reps. Chamber of Digital Commerce. U.S. Rep. Tom Emmer, co-chair of the Congressional Blockchain Caucus and crypto advocate on Capitol Hill, is the keynote speaker of the DC Blockchain Summit coming up when? May 24th. And they're going to bring in Tom Emmer live, which is great. Tom Emmer has introduced, multiple bills in front of Congress. So we spent 38 minutes going through all of those great things. There a lot of important issues that we really had to dissect over there. But I do want to get into a few other topics of excitement before we go here, because there are a few topics of excitement. And I mentioned those because when we have all of this bear market, then we want to hone in and say, what kind of great things are happening in this space? So here we have OwlPay partnering with Neum to launch a global B2B cross-border payment service. Now, this is interesting. So this is in Taipei, right? This is the OwlTing Group, a global blockchain service company, announced a partnership with Neum, which is a global platform for modern day money movement to power OwlPay. So Neum will power OwlPay, the OwlTing's new real-time cross-border payment service for e-commerce and travel platforms over in Southeast Asia. Now we say, okay, this is awesome. This is exciting. All these things that are going on in this space. But who is OwlPay? Why is that relevant? Or is it Neum that's the most relevant of all of it? And I say it might be Neum. Why? Because Neum is forging new partnerships to open doors in Southeast Asia. So is it all Neum? Neum, the company, was looking to further differentiate themselves in a crowded marketplace. by offering an enhanced payment. Neum began leveraging Ripple's advanced blockchain tech to process real transactions in real time. So let's look. Prajit Nanu. Now, this is a co-founder and CEO of Neo. Now, they set up their company back in 2014, right? 2014 is set up. Let's play this real quickly. We should have sound and just to hear from them, just a brief play through this.
Prajit Danu, I'm co-founder, CEO. The company I set up back in 2014 with a clear vision of trying to build a global payment infrastructure which connects banks, financial institutions. If you look at our customer base, we actually cover a wider base than majority of the payment service providers. So about 60% of our business is financial institutions. So financial institutions includes banks, payment processors, other payment services providers, money services business, etc. Then the 40% of our businesses also includes people like such as marketplaces, travel tech companies, hotel booking sites, etc. So the key aspect what we try to solve for them is two aspects of payments, is how to send money fast as possible and at the lowest possible cost. Fast forward 2019, we are now accessible in about 35 countries. We send payments to about 55 countries. I think RippleNet actually really helps us globalize much faster. I think a great example is one of the customers which we've got, say BTech, for example. BTech is a customer in Brazil.
So that's interesting, right? But I also want to point out he's got a brick wall in the background. So looks like he's trying to take our style there with that brick wall. But anyhow, so Neum is using Ripple in the Philippines and in Mexico, through the different corridors there. Now they are partnered up with Owl Pay, which is kind of exciting, to see that these kind of partnerships are taking place. And here's a company founded back in 2014. So it's not like they're brand new, not doing something that they don't have experience with at this point. But check this out, and I like he mentioned it, but this statement right here, I think, really says it all. When we look at it. But he said, thanks to RippleNet, Neum is the first in the region to offer corridors from North and South America into a number of destinations in Southeast Asia. New connections on the network have also helped Neum solidify its presence across Australia, Singapore, and Malaysia. Now they're using RippleNet. Now we know that some of the key elements of RippleNet, would really be the functionality of the XRPL, potentially then being able to utilize some of the built-in solutions that are part of the XRPL, maybe even tapping into the liquidity, but really simplifying that instant real-time payment solution for B2B. And so that's really what we're looking here, which is it's exciting. It really is super meaningful. So even in the bear market, even as things are crazy, we're seeing that on the blockchain, we're still seeing that there's amazing technologies continuing to grow within the space built on the and utilizing the foundation of this platform, which is the XRPL. So I think that's really key. And we have to remember, really as we start seeing, this expansion, that, things can still look up. So even though you have, these little bear markets that occur, maybe we have, some amazing things that are, getting ready to explode here into our future. So here we have May 10th. Now this is, so here, May 10th, this is Mark Brennan. This was on Crypto Basic. I don't know if this is, they're reading the charts and looking at all the red candles and all that good stuff. But he's saying here that, again, incorrect. So let's cut that out of the equation. It should just be XRP there, unless he's talking about Ripple, the stock. But let's just focus on XRP. People need to stop using Ripple and XRP together in terms of price point, especially since he did it in parentheses as though there's they're the same, one and the same. But XRP records a 6th consecutive weekly red candle, similar to what happened in 2017 when, right before it blasted off into the stratosphere with an all-time high of $3.40. That's crazy. So there you go. There's a nice coin with Ripple on it. I don't know. I'm not invested in Ripple, so I don't know about that. Um, I think it's about time people stop saying Ripple. I mean, we're talking about RippleNet. We're talking about it being built on the XRPL, but we're not talking Ripple and XRP. So it's about time people stop doing this. Investors are wondering whether XRP can pull the same astonishing feat and put smiles on their faces. So obviously, we know it's a big dip here, big downside across the board. This was yesterday. So now we've seen XRP dipping down into like what it was at 37 cents. Someone pointed out earlier. We're going to see maybe even further lows as it keeps trending. Look at it, trending view. Keep trending down. Not a bad thing necessarily. We did see not that long ago, we saw XRP dipping down into those 20-cent and less region. I believe it had dipped down into that 15-cent category. Bitcoin, it dipped way down. So with Bitcoin hovering in that 28,000 range and Ethereum in that 2,000 range, man, it's unbelievable, what these potential opportunities can be out there in the crypto space. Again, if we follow the roller coaster and the chaos in the roller coaster, get ready. Sometimes it's really difficult in the stock market, when the stock market's red and people's portfolios are bleeding all over the place. It looks like a massive, massacre crime scene. But these are the moments in time where you kind of figure out and say, you know what, now's the moment to start buying when it's hitting those crushing lows, instead of waiting for it to come all the way back and then being happy again and then trying to invest when it's high. It's like, these are the moments, and it's really, really difficult to do. I know that. So anyhow, you guys have been outstanding. As always, we have by far the best and the brightest. Want to give a quick shout out to Bird Dog and Legendary and a few others of our on the chain members that are out there, and all of our supporters that come in on a regular basis here with us. I know we're streaming 3 days a week right now. Lots of stuff going on at work, and also 2 projects that Chip and I are working on building out, consuming an amazing amount of time. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about at least one of those projects in the near future. We'll be excited to bring that up. But until Saturday, we'll be back Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, you guys are the best and the brightest, and we will check you guys out on the next one. I'm out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.